So you want to stay at the Margaritaville Resort in Orlando. We stayed there for 4 nights and 5 days, and we did a split stay between that one and the Margaritaville and Anna Marie Island, Compass Margaritaville. So if you want to see that video, we'll have that video up as well. But it was myself and my husband, and we were there with my 21-year-old son on occasion as well. So for those who don't know me, I'm Kelly. I was a nurse to CEO. I love vacations. I do quite a bit of education for people in business, leadership, career, and personal development. But I also am a big believer in work-life balance and planning for your vacations and experiences, more important. And we'll talk about that as we do more videos moving forward with vacations, about areas that I like to go to with either my husband or, more importantly, with our whole entire family. I think it's important to have those shared experiences when you're to gain work-life balances with your family, to connect with your kids, to connect with your husband, and really have those experiences together for years to come with memories. And this was one of those trips. So the Margaritaville Resort in Orlando, first of all, it was a great location. It was about $11 for us to take an Uber from Margaritaville to Disney Springs and Disney Epcot, which were the two areas that we also visited while we were there. And it was roughly about $18 to take it to Universal Studios. So again, the location was very, very close, within a few miles. There was, at the Margaritaville Resort in Orlando, a free shuttle to the parks. We did not take that free shuttle, but they did have scheduled times that you could visit those parks for free with that shuttle. The resort at Margaritaville definitely had more of a resort feel to it versus a hotel. So it has a hotel, which is where we stayed, and it also has condos that are all within this resort area that have anywhere from, I believe it was 2 to 4 bedrooms. I could be wrong on that, so please do your own research. We did not stay at the condos, but honestly, we probably will the next time. The hotel was great, but the thought of having a condo in that resort and having your own kitchen was appealing to us as well. They just were not available the week we went, which was over spring break. So it was an extremely busy time, obviously in Orlando, probably busy anywhere, but the Margaritaville was also busy as well. And so we got our own room. The room that we got was 2 queen-size bedrooms with a balcony overlooking the pool, which was great. So the balcony in this particular case, like I said, overlooked the pool, and it did have kind of opaque wall sidings next to us, which was different than the Compass Margaritaville at Anna Marie Island, which was more open. We definitely preferred a closed space in between, even if you could hear the balcony next door, at least you couldn't visually see, and it felt a little more private as you were overlooking the pool, and we used our balcony often. The customer service was fantastic. Everywhere we went, people were very friendly, were very willing to work with us. One example is my room key, and I'll get into that a little bit later, was not working to open up the room. And of course, that always happens. I think it happened on our last night, when you're tired and you're frustrated and it was very busy. Like I said, it was spring break. I went down to customer service and they gave me a different bracelet to try, and it still did not work. And they recognized right away that it probably was a battery in the actual door. So they sent somebody up. I don't think we waited more than 5 minutes for that. So I will say their customer service, even at their busiest time, was phenomenal. It does have a Margaritaville shop inside, and I did get a couple things there. It's always kind of fun to shop at Margaritaville shops. Several restaurants on site that we'll get into, as well as off-site. And one of the benefits of Margaritaville, if you're not aware, is if you buy a refillable margarita mug or glass, you can take that to any Margaritaville resort and get a discount on those beverages. The discount does change depending on the resort that you're at. For example, when we stayed at Margaritaville in Anna Marie Island, or Compass by Margaritaville in Anna Marie Island, a refillable mug margarita was $8. When we went to Margaritaville Resort in Orlando, it was $18 for the refillable mug, which still was half off the regular price, but it was very expensive. It's possible those prices went up because of spring break. I do not know that, but keep that in mind that it's not going to be consistent, but it will be at a discount, and we found it worth it to buy the refillable mug for that price. When you check into your room and you get your room, you get a waterproof band to check into your room. So there's no room key. And that band then gets you into your room. And I believe also you can charge for certain things. We did not use it in the charging capacity we just signed with our room, but you can, I believe, use it for that. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that you can. The room was very clean. Again, we liked the balcony. It was very adequate. It was a hotel room, but it was very adequate. It had a split bathroom. So for if you have families, one can be using one area of the bathroom and the other area could be used for the other side of the bathroom, which is nice. So you can have two people getting ready at the same time. One of the things that I really appreciated was it had an area, kind of, I guess I'll call it a nook, with hanging hooks. So you could hang up wet swimsuits, your hat, your sunbathing, your bag maybe that you carry to the beach. So it kind of kept your room less cluttered. So I really appreciated having multiple hooks when you first came in with a sitting bench. The pools are very important when you go on vacation, or at least it is to our family. So the main pool, which is called the Fins Up pool, you have to check in again with your bracelet. You have to check in to get into that pool. So in other words, like you get into the resort, you can get through the resort and go down, but you cannot get into Fins Up without going through a security checkpoint, essentially. To be honest, while I understand it from a safety standpoint, I guess, it really was kind of annoying because there were doors surrounding people could get out of, and it just would have been much easier to not have to always go to that front. But I also understand security and safety, so just your preference on that and just keep that in mind. You only got one towel. So towels were provided, which is a nice perk, but you only got one, and they were very strict on that. You did not get two towels. So again, while okay, a little annoying, particularly on the Fins Up pool, then that was their process and their policy, at least for that particular pool. If you wanted a cabana, they were extra cost. And on the day that we were there, they were all reserved. There was none available. And they were $189 for the day for that cabana. That was probably the one thing that, I disliked the most was the chairs. If you got down there, we got down there about 10 o'clock in the morning, all the chairs were taken. So all the cabanas were reserved and all the chairs were taken. So that really kind of hurts the experience when you really want to be at that Fins Up pool. Now, having said that, there was a sand area that you could, lay a towel down on the sand. Personally, I always prefer a chair. But there were people that were taking their towels and laying on the sand. Or if you're just going to go right to the pool and the chair isn't important to you, then you had that option as well. Talking about the sand, now again, I understand it's kind of that Jimmy Buffett, Margaritaville era. I personally don't like sand at a pool. So again, keep that in mind that you're going to have sand kind of tracking everywhere because that is where you go for these chairs, at least at the Fins Up pool area. The Fins Up pool area was very busy, as I said. It had two bars then that both had great drinks and great food. We ordered our margaritas there. We ordered some other drinks. We ordered nachos. We ordered different lunches, and it was all very, very good. And again, the customer service was outstanding. They will deliver the food to your chair if that's what you prefer. We actually sat at the bar area, and so they brought it to us, but they do bring it to your chair too as well. There was no lifeguard on duty. So if you have children or you have someone that doesn't swim well, please keep in mind there was no lifeguard on duty, and it is a busy pool. So you are going to need to watch your little ones a little more closely without that lifeguard. Then there was a quieter pool. And to be honest, we used the quieter pool almost exclusively, other than when we got food at the Fins Up pool, because the license to chill pool, which is considered their quieter pool, no check-in was required. You were not limited to only one towel. So they had an area there where you could just grab towels. They're playing the Jimmy Buffett era song. So there's still songs being played. It's not that it's silent, if you will. Plenty of seating. It didn't matter if we got there at 1, 2, or 3 o'clock. We always had a seat to sit in. And so we really appreciated that. There was a large checkerboard area that you would see some families playing checkerboard. So again, it was not adult only. It just wasn't used as often. And so you could sit there and just relax, read your book, swim in the pool, have your drink. So what we would do is we would go over to the bar and fill up our mug and bring it back to that license to chill pool, which is why the check-in process was a little annoying, because you would have to check in every time to get into the Fins Up pool, to get to the bar, to get your drink and get back. It's all pretty close. Just plan, it probably took 10 minutes. But it was an extra step that you had to do to be at that pool. But for us, it was worth it. There were Surrey bikes that you could rent to ride around the resort. And again, the condos and the pool, all of it, the pool was kind of in the middle and everything surrounded it. So everything was pretty close. So no matter if you were at a condo or at the hotel, it all was relatively close. But if you did have, issues, you could rent the Surrey bikes. And that was something we did not do. I kind of wish we had. And it was anywhere from, I believe, 2 people to 4 people. And I think there was a 6-person bike as well. Again, don't completely quote me on that. But you could rent those Surrey bikes. I actually walked quite often. There was nice walking areas to kind of check out the condos, walk around the area. So the resort felt very safe, even doing it at night, walking around to kind of check out the scenery on the resort. There was a cornhole area. So if your family's into cornhole, there were different activities like that, ping pong, that you could do, as well as not just the swimming and the Surrey bikes. There were a variety of activities that were happening as well. There was a Fins Up Fitness Center and a Saint Somewhere Spa. I did not go to either one of those, but I do know people did use it, so I can't speak to that. But if you are someone that likes to go to the spa, and honestly, normally I do, but I didn't have time this time to visit it. And I normally like to go to the fitness center, but I was enjoying the walking because the weather was so beautiful. But do know they do have both of those there. So the restaurants. Again, I talked about the Fins Up pool bar, and I got the nachos and the shrimp Asian salad, and it was fantastic. It was large sizes, easy enough that you could share the nachos with my husband and I, and we really enjoyed that as well. Inside the hotel restaurant, there was a restaurant inside. You cannot fill up your refillable mug though at the restaurant inside. We were a little surprised by that. So I believe it's another chain, but it was that you were not allowed to fill up your refillable mug. At the restaurant, inside restaurant, we ordered beer, and my son, my 21-year-old son was with us, and my husband ordered beer. I got the vanilla white Russian, which was their special. It was awesome. Got the fish market sandwich. My son and husband ordered the steak and asparagus, and it was all very, very good. So it was a little on the pricier side, but really high quality food, and the customer service was good as well. It had live music going on at night. So it's a bar and a restaurant. So it would have live music throughout the week at various times. So if you want to sit at kind of a lounge chair and just grab a drink and listen to live music, which we did a couple times, that was really fun as well. So again, highly recommend that restaurant too. Then what was also unique about the Margaritaville Resort in Orlando is it has what's called a Promenade sunset walk. And so you could either take the free shuttle or you could walk. And we're talking less than a 5-minute walk. You just walk around the front of the hotel resort and you just cross basically like a roundabout, which was not a street roundabout necessarily, but a roundabout in the resort. So very, very safe to walk with the walking path. And most people, I think, walked it. We walked it every time. And it had live music at night and lots of restaurants to enjoy. Kind of a dining and entertainment kind of small district, I would call it as well, with specialty restaurants. So the restaurants that we and bars that we partook in during that week was number 1, The Wharf, which I know is a chain, restaurant, specialty restaurant. The food was really good, but the service was extremely slow. Now, they did have live music going when we were there, and the music was really fun and was great that way, but the service was extremely slow. We were there for probably a good hour and a half. The pretzel rolls that were there were warm, soft. We loved them. They were a highlight. And then my husband actually said the seafood pot pie was the best he's ever had, and probably best of the week. So he really kind of likes pot pie, and the seafood pot pie there was, in his opinion, chef's kiss. I got the salmon BLT sandwich and some steak fries, and it was okay. Nothing to write home about. It was okay. The steak fries were really good though. And then for dessert, we got the key lime pie and the bread pudding. The key lime pie was awesome. It was smooth. It wasn't too tart, but it wasn't too sweet. That was definitely a highlight for both of us that we shared. And then the bread pudding was in my opinion, just kind of okay. It was very thick. It was very dense. If you like very thick, dense bread pudding, you might like this. I like mine a little bit more warm and soft and kind of more gooey. And so to me, it was just okay. The second place that we also visited was the Jefe Tequilas Taco and Cantina. So there, we just went we were with my 21-year-old son and kind of having an experience, right? I talk about wanting to connect with your kids and have an experience with your kids. So we ordered the El Jefe Flight Tequila Flight and the Mexican Candy Tequila Flight that we all shared and tried. And that was kind of a fun experience. I am not a drinker, as you all know. I will have a cocktail or two on occasion socially, but it was just more fun for us to do. And it was an experience that my son really enjoyed as a 21-year-old. And we were the cool parents for the night. But again, we were walking. We were very safe. I think I was still in bed by 10 p.m. that night. But again, when you're really looking at experiences with your kids, kind of pick something that they would never expect. And that would be something I would never do. And so again, that was something that we experienced with my 21-year-old, and it really was fun, so I would recommend it. We also visited the Ford's Garage restaurant, which I believe is a chain as well. We had never been. The decor was so fun. It had the Ford cars around. It had tires and different things like that around. There was a tire as the sink in the bathroom. And I will say, so the food was pretty good. It was okay. I think we both ordered burgers, and it has a little Ford. It'll have like a little, I guess, burn insignia, if that's correct, on the bun. So the food was okay. The service was very slow. I will say, just as a heads up, and they did tell us this ahead of time, they have what's called legendary service. And so they automatically put on a 20% service fee onto your bill. They let you know ahead of time. There was a sign that clearly says it. They verbalized it as well. I did not have a problem with it because I usually tip 20% anyway. And that is to help keep their wages competitive in Orlando. And then if you want to go above and beyond that, you can, and that then is given to your individual server. So the legendary automatic service goes to all of them that they split, all the people that work in the restaurant, I assume, and then your individual server would get whatever tip you would choose to go above and beyond that. Our service was very, very slow. It really wasn't that busy. So I think we left a couple dollars extra for that. But just know that ahead of time that is something to expect when you go to that restaurant. I also visited the Avalon Nails Spa. It was very good. I was able to get my pedicure and my nails done while I was there, and I had some time. No complaints there. We visited River Street Sweets and got ice cream. My son and I got ice cream there. Very good ice cream, very good customer service. And then we visited a couple other things and got beer, and I didn't, but my husband and son did, as we walked around and listened to live music throughout various nights throughout that week. So it really was great to have this Promenade sunset walk so close to the hotel, because you really did not have to leave the resort for any of those things if you didn't want to. Two of the off-site restaurants that we also visited was Mr. and Mrs. Crab, and got the seafood boil and the beer bucket there for, again, it was my 21-year-old son with his friend who was also with him at that time, and my husband and I, and they got the seafood boil, and they thought that was really good. You get to pick your own spice, you get to pick your own what you want in your seafood boil, so it was very customizable, and so they really enjoyed that. And then, of course, when we go to Orlando, we love the Earl of Sandwich. And so we did get the Earl of Sandwich as well. We both got the original, and just kind of a highlight, you can DoorDash it or you can go there. We actually visited it at Disney Springs. We just always really enjoy that as we get the atmosphere of Disney Springs. So hopefully you found this helpful for the Margaritaville Resort in Orlando. Please comment below what questions you have. I'm happy to answer that, or what place you'd like me to review next time. And we'll talk more, and we'll talk soon. Thanks.